Well, the United Nations has agreed on a major new blueprint to combat violence against women and girls. It is all part of the UN's Commission on the Status of Women meeting, which culminated last night after 2 weeks of contentious debate. Joining me now is Dr. Dara Richardson-Heron, the CEO of the YWCA, who attended some of those UN meetings. And with a welcome to you, Doctor, I'm glad to have you here.
I'm delighted to be here.
So this initiative, what does this do to help women and girls throughout the world?
Well, now that everyone is focused on eliminating violence in all forms against women and girls across the country, we hope there will be a concerted effort to really take steps to eliminate the violence. You know, the paper is good, but it's really the implementation that's going to be critical. But now we actually have an agreement to move forward with this initiative.
Well, and that's the point that I think is so interesting, because having agreement, having this consensus, that wasn't necessarily guaranteed from the outside. I mean, you and I can look at this and say, well, logically, of course, but you have a lot of different cultures involved here, which ultimately, though, signed on, giving their government's license now to do what? To try to protect women, help them out?
Well, to protect women from sexual violence, to protect women from gender-based violence, and that is the decision that has been made. Countries have to put a concerted effort to try to stop the violence against women. I was just recently at the Commission on the Status of Women, and we had a delegation from the YWCA of about 110 women. About half of them were young women. When they spoke of the unspeakable violence that many of them face, it was just unbelievable. So that's why we at the YWCA know that it's important and imperative for the U.S. and other countries to take a strong stand. As you know, we're celebrating the passage and reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. The YWCA was really at the forefront of that initiative.
Well, and also, you need the monies. That helps fund everything that you do.
It does. The YWCA is one of the largest providers of domestic violence services in the United States. We get a great deal of our funding from the Violence Against Women Act, funding for our crisis intervention centers, housing. These women need housing. Where do they go if they have to leave an unsafe environment? So we at the YWCA want to make sure that women have these kinds of services and supports, and that they can leave these unsafe homes.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know that everybody is aware that the YWCA has these sorts of programs that are aimed at helping women who are victims of domestic violence. I mean, the appalling rate, I believe it's 4 or 5 per day in this country,
that's right,
are killed as a result of domestic violence. I mean, you think about the YWCA and you think about moms taking their kids there for playtime or swimming lessons, and actually it's a pretty weighty program that you have.
Well, we really are the largest, one of the largest and oldest multicultural institutions that have been around in the fight against eliminating racism and empowering women. We are the largest provider of domestic violence services. We have a wealth of services that we provide. Most people think that we just have swimming pools and fitness centers. That's not true. We have 230 locations throughout the United States where we provide the range and gamut of services. It could be early childhood care. It could be
shelters for women who have violent husbands or partners?
Shelters for women, transitional housing for women who are facing job loss, or women who are in the military who come back and they don't have a place to stay. So we run the gamut of services for women throughout their life cycle, and we've been doing it for over 150 years, and we're going to do it for many more years to come.
Bully for you, and I think also the fact that you talk about ending racism. I did get just a notice about the news. You have Eva Longoria, who's going to make a splash, I guess, at your annual event.
Absolutely. We have an annual conference that will be held from June 5th to June 8th in Washington, D.C., and Eva is going to receive our Dorothy Height Award. We're so excited that she's going to be joining us.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, thank you very much for the work you do on behalf of the YWCA, Dr. Dara.
We're delighted
here, and thank you so much.
And thank you for highlighting our work.
Well, glad to have you. Glad you're doing what you're doing.